Ustedes me dicen que han llegado ayer, ¿verdad? A Tacna. Que hoy día han intentado cruzar y no les han devuelto.
A stone's throw from the Chilean border, stories like this are becoming increasingly common at this migrant shelter.
¿Ustedes tienen familia allá?
Sí, pero no regularizada.
This Colombian family, whose identities we are concealing for their protection, had hoped to settle in Chile. They said they fled criminal violence back home. And despite the anti-immigration rhetoric of Chile's new president, José Antonio Kast, they still tried to make the journey south.
We saw on television that there was a new president, but we didn't really know what things were like there now, because for years, Chile had always been a good destination. Colombians, Venezuelans, and Ecuadorians could enter pretty easily.
But this time they say they were stopped immediately. At the Chilean border crossing, they describe a hostile interaction simply because of their nationality.
As soon as we handed our ID cards to the border officer, his attitude completely changed. He became bossy. The first thing he asked was, "What are you coming here for? We don't believe you." Then he told us, "We don't want Colombians. We don't want Ecuadorians or Venezuelans. I'm not letting you through."
Now stranded in Tacna, the last city in southern Peru before the Chilean border, they're trying to decide where to go next. Chile's tougher migration policies are making crossings harder, but they are not stopping people from heading south. Jessica Calizaya works at the Santa Rosa de Lima migrant shelter.
Yes, the flow has decreased, but people are still coming. Not like before, but it continues. In March, for example, there was one week when we received 17 or 20 people. Other weeks, maybe 5.
Since taking office, José Antonio Kast has introduced a hardline migration policy. A border wall, trenches, reinforced patrols, measures openly inspired by U.S. President Donald Trump. His goal, expel undocumented migrants.
We can say that we have started to slow down irregular immigration. In recent years, it brought more than 180,000 people into Chile through an open window. This desert was that open window, and now we are closing it.
The strategy is both security-driven and highly symbolic, designed to discourage illegal crossings and pressure undocumented migrants already living in Chile to leave. This young Venezuelan woman decided to move to Peru after spending 2 years in Santiago. She says life was already difficult because of inflation, then things worsened after Kast took power.
They said they were going to expel all refugees. So I decided to leave before they forced me out with nothing. I was also afraid they might go looking for my child at school.
She is among just over 2,000 migrants who have left Chile since March, far from the 300,000 deportations promised by Kast. Deeply shaken by the experience, she describes a country that had become unbearable.
There's more support here than in Chile, more opportunities for me, and less xenophobia. Sometimes people think we migrate for pleasure, but that's not true for everyone. We all have different situations. I did all of this to try to build a better future. And still people look at me badly. It's hard.
After Kast's election, Peru prepared for a possible surge of refugees at its southern border. In Tacna, a state of emergency has now been in place for 2 months. With helicopters overhead, police are closely monitoring the area. General Francisco Ninalaya Martinez points to tire tracks on the ground.
This is where the smugglers operate, taking migrants across outside the official checkpoints.
These are exactly the kinds of crossings Chile's new wall is meant to stop. From the air, the Peruvian general surveys the construction site.
You can see the trench lines here. They will stretch for around 12 to 17 kilometers.
But for now, Peru's fears of a massive influx at the border have not materialized.
With the state of emergency, we have more control. In the past few days, we have not observed a massive arrival of refugees.
8 organizations on the ground are reporting the same thing. The UN Refugee Agency maintains a permanent presence in Tacna. At the city's bus terminal, teams provide information and assistance to migrants passing through, like this family, which has just left Chile.
My colleague is currently giving them information about housing options because this is an extremely vulnerable family with children.
So far, humanitarian groups say they have not been overwhelmed.
We're not seeing any major change in migration flows. People continue to arrive every day at the reception points in the bus terminal, but no, we haven't observed any major increase.
Still, if crossing into Chile becomes too difficult, NGOs expect migration routes across South America could eventually shift. Instead of heading to Chile, some migrants may choose to stay in Peru or continue on toward Bolivia and even Brazil.